Thank you, Siobhan. We start tonight's regional news by telling you that a 29-year-old man from Arima, Trinidad has been denied bail after appearing in court charged with money laundering close to $300,000 that was stolen from the San Juan Laventil Regional Corporation in a multi-million-dollar fraud scam. Stephen Ramsaroop of Longden Street, Arima, was remanded into custody after appearing before Magistrate Melissa Gomez in the Port of Spain Magistrates Court on just over 100 fraud charges on Monday. Ramsaroop was among a dozen people who were allegedly linked to a payroll scam in which the corporation was defrauded of close to $22.5 million. The other 10 suspects appeared in court last year on charges of conspiracy to defraud, except Ramsaroop, who could not be found by police. He was slapped with the charges after police managed to locate him last month. Police are searching for one more suspect. All the charges relate to varying withdrawals made by Ramsaroop at ATMs in Piarco, St. Helena, and Vaseline between 2012 and 2017. He is accused of withdrawing the money, knowing that it was the proceeds of the fraudulent conspiracy. During the hearing, Police Prosecutor Inspector Rajesh Lal objected for bail for Ramsaroop as he suggested that he may be a flight risk. Ramsaroop works in his family's mini-mart in Piarco. The charges allegedly arose from an internal audit initiated by the corporation's former chief executive officer, Kofi Chapman, in 2017. All of the accused are charged with being part of a conspiracy to defraud the corporation. We turn now to Jamaica. Inmates inside Jamaica's prisons are contracting HIV at an alarming rate, according to a 2018 study. Concern is growing among experts who say that upon release from prison, ex-cons engage in sexual relationships with women who have no knowledge of their HIV status. The study conducted by the National Family Planning Board, which reported on 726 inmates who had been incarcerated for more than 6 months from 3 male adult correctional facilities and 1 female facility, showed that the HIV prevalence rate was 6.9%, more than 100% higher than the 3.3% recorded in 2011. The prison HIV prevalence rate is almost 4 times higher than the national average of an estimated 1.8%. The St. Catherine Adult Correctional Center had the highest rate, followed by Tower Street and Fort Augusta, the Women's Correctional Facility, relocated to South Camp Road in Kingston. Data also showed that inmates have a syphilis prevalence rate of 4.5%. The high HIV prevalence among male prison inmates suggests that this is the 3rd highest risk population after transgender women and men who have sex with men in Jamaica. The study pointed out that almost half of the inmates were married or had been living with a partner, while 46% were single and had never lived with a partner before their incarceration. Some inmates in the study claimed that they contracted HIV while in prison. Director of Health Promotion and Prevention, the National Family Planning Board, Andrea Campbell, said the figure was cause for concern. Campbell said, however, that medication was made available to inmates once they were identified as positive and wanted to go on medication. The study also pointed out there was low reported exposure to HIV educational sessions and condom demonstrations in the prison system. Based on the findings, Campbell said that the NFPB proposed to the Department of Correctional Services a series of interventions, including individual and group educational sessions at least 3 times per month, as well as the training of officers to reduce stigma and discrimination and training to peer educators. Turning now to news from our neighboring Venezuela. Venezuela removed 8 tons of gold from the central bank's vaults last week, and the cash-strapped socialist state is expected to sell the bullion abroad as it seeks to raise hard currency in the face of U.S. sanctions, a lawmaker and one government source says. With sanctions imposed by Washington choking off revenues from exports by state oil company PDVSA, President Nicolas Maduro's increasingly isolated administration has turned to sales of Venezuela's substantial gold reserves as one of the only sources of foreign currency. The government source said the central bank's reserves had fallen by 30 tons since the start of the year before U.S. President Donald Trump tightened sanctions, leaving the bank with around 100 tons in its vaults worth more than $4 billion. At that rate of decline, the central bank's reserves would nearly disappear by the end of the year, leaving Maduro's government struggling to pay for imports of basic goods. Neither Venezuela's central bank nor its information ministry responded to requests for comment, Reuters has reported. Trump's administration has declared Venezuela part of a troika of tyranny in Latin America, including left-leaning governments of Cuba and Nicaragua. It is seeking to cut off cash flow to Maduro's government, foster dissent in the armed forces, and oust him from power in the OPEC nation. Opposition lawmakers have blasted companies buying Venezuelan gold or holding it as collateral for loans, saying they are giving Maduro a financial lifeline during an economic and humanitarian crisis. Aside from the reserves held by the central bank in Caracas, Guaido is attempting to freeze bank accounts and gold owned by Venezuela abroad. This includes 31 tons in the Bank of England, worth an estimated $1.3 billion. Washington in January asked foreign gold buyers to stop doing business with the Venezuelan government. This prompted Venezuela to cancel a planned sale of 29 tons of gold to the United Arab Emirates. But in February and March, the central bank continued to authorize the movement of gold, the government source said, adding that it was aiming to sell small quantities. And that's it for our regional news tonight. Back to you, Javon.